Happy New Year, y'all. Welcome to the Bold Arrow Podcast. I'm your host, Rosa Aleman, coming to you from Rockshell Studio here in the suburbs of Boston, Massachusetts. I want to kick off this podcast by sharing one of the hashtag bold books that I've been reading and rereading over the past 4 or 5 years. It's a book by an author who has been in the tech world since the very beginning of Silicon Valley. His name is Jaron Lanier, and the book is called You Are Not A Gadget. Here's a clip from Jaron Lanier's TED Talk in San Francisco in 2010.
Technology design is our most effective way of self-confusion ever. And and thus I tend to not be too supportive of a lot of the recent media designs, even though in many cases my friends designed them, social networking and tweeting and all this stuff. And the reason why is just I'm concerned that we're all fitting more and more into database representations of ourselves. I'm concerned that we're letting algorithms recommend friends and music and movies to us in a way that's separating us from each other. I'm concerned that we're creating an economic trap for future generations because we've come up with this bizarre idea that would have just seemed alien at a certain point, but somehow it just slipped in there, that the right way to do business online is to operate these spying operations where we give people stuff for free, but then we spy on them to advertise at them. And I just don't think it's sustainable. I think we have to have a different idea in which the whole thing is inverted and becomes very human-centered, where we're helping people sell things to each other rather than trying to get everybody to do everything for free. There are two reasons for that. One is that if you have an all-volunteer society, it's easily corrupted. We found this recently when did anybody read the expose on the Koch brothers in the New Yorker? So it turns out the blogosphere is really corruptible with a little bit of money because nobody has any clout on it because they're all working on a volunteer basis. To have a middle class, you have to have a distribution of wealth. That's just life. And the internet has been drifting radically away from that. The original design of the internet, which was from 1960, was all about creating an online middle class where people could sell each other creative efforts. And I'm certain we have to bring that back, both for spiritual reasons and for political reasons.
Thank you so much for taking some time to listen to this project I've put together for you. Just to give you some background information before I kick off the recording that I did for this particular episode, I want to share a little bit about what the Bold Hour is and where it comes from. The Bold Hour is the thesis project for a project that I did from 2015 to 2018 called #MyDIYMFA. It was a 3-year self-directed education project, a year of reading, a year of writing, and a year of making. And in those 3 years, I started writing a novel. I created an outline for a non-fiction book on creative learning and self-directed learning. And I developed a website called boldhour.com. So this project will live on boldhour.com, and it will be part of audio content that comes from me and hopefully other contributors. If you're out there and you're listening and you want to be part of a budding project that's all about storytelling and creativity and creative learning and inclusive leadership and working on something that helps people use their voice in powerful ways, then please contact me, reach out, be on the podcast, submit some content for the website. Check out the website, boldhour.com. The Bold Hour is sponsored by bridgebold.com, which is my service-oriented freelance work. I help small businesses and nonprofit organizations get their communications in order so that they have more structured ways of amplifying their missions. If you want to read more about that, visit bridgebowl.com. That is the sponsoring entity. So the money that I make as a freelancer goes toward paying me overhead at Rockshelf Studio so that I could produce things like the Bold Hour podcast. If you are interested in sponsoring the Bold Hour podcast, please reach out. If you believe in self education, if you believe in creative learning, if you believe in inclusive leadership, if those things are important to the work that you do, then I want to hear from you. And I welcome your support in order to grow this over time. So I want to kick things off right. I want to start this journey by producing an episode that's all about technology and our relationship to technology. For the past decade at least, things have moved very rapidly. I wanted to help the people listening to this podcast think about what are the values that are programmed into the tools that we use? And are we, as people, in alignment with those values? Or is it time to reconsider? I want to name this episode after the book that inspired the foundation of this podcast. So, this episode is called You Are Not a Gadget. Just in case you need a reminder, let me say it again. You are not a gadget. There might be a gadget in your hand, there might be a gadget in your pocket, there might be a gadget on your bed, there might be a gadget on your desk, at your kitchen table, on your dashboard. There might be a gadget in your bathroom, but you, my friend, are not a gadget. You are so much more. And I just want to say, I want to be human with you in this time, in this moment. This year is all about humanity. It's all about making sure that what we came here to do together is realized and that our tools are empowerment, that our tools are there to fuel the things we want to drive forward. Again, just remember, whenever you need a reminder, whenever you feel yourself tethered to the machine, try your best to remember a little phrase that goes like this: You are not a gadget. You are not a gadget. No, that's funny. That reminds me of a time when I was teaching fourth graders about video production, and we were creating these short videos about inspirational people who have shaped history or have had an impact on history. And I had this fourth grade kid come up with this brilliant song. He had learned a poem by Maya Angelou in his English class, and he turned it into a song for the video. And the song went something like this. It went like, if I remember correctly, this was more than a decade ago. But if I remember correctly, it went something like this. It took Maya Angelou's song and made it even more brilliant, which is crazy to me. The song went something like this. It went, Life doesn't frighten me at all, not at all, not at all. Life doesn't frighten me at all, not at all, not at all. And this kid had all of his peers, his entire class, singing along to the song. So imagine a bunch of fourth graders producing a video for the first time, holding a video camera, and working together in collaboration to produce a little video about this poet, having this little fourth grader commanding his entire class with a song that was just inspired in him because we asked him to be creative and make something. And just imagine that fourth grade kid singing to his peers and with his peers, life doesn't frighten me at all, not at all, not at all. Life doesn't frighten me at all, not at all, not at all. I think of that all the time. Every time I get stuck in a way, like when I feel stuck in whatever rut I'm in, I remember. I remember what education is. And I remember what learning can do. And I remember what young people know. And I remember what I can contribute. And I remember that it's worth remembering that we are not our things. We are not our possessions. We are not our tech gadgets. We are not our tools. We are life. We are alive. And when life gets scary, just remember life doesn't frighten me at all. Not at all. Not at all.